Hey everyone, and welcome to the Green Beret Life. I'm Lynn. As you can see, I am not flanked by my lovely co-host Matt. He went in the hospital Friday for gallbladder removal. They kept him over the weekend and actually performed the surgery Monday. And then they had some complications and had to go back in today. So he's actually still in the hospital, probably not watching the show, probably recovering. But he asked me to go ahead and come on and put on the show anyway. Those of you that have been here before, as I said, it's the Green Beret Life. You can find everything at greenberetlife.com. It's a 501c3. Matt started the organization to help veterans and outdoor stuff, firearm related things, getting veterans their concealed carry permits, firearm training, and that sort of thing free of charge through the nonprofit. If you're so inclined, please visit the website. You can donate there. We've had a few people I want to give a shout out to Rumble. They've subscribed through Rumble as monthly subscribers. So they're helping us kind of right now defray the cost of the streaming and everything. So we really appreciate that. If anyone's so inclined, please do so. Everything helps. Other than that, we've got quite a bit that we're going to talk about this week. And since Matt isn't here, one of the things that we're going to try and do a little experiment, because those of you that watch the show regularly know that the show is intended to be about an hour and 15 minutes long. Well, when Matt and I get in here, it winds up being an hour and 45 to 2 hours long, and we're abject failures at keeping it to the 1 hour mark. It's my belief it's all Matt. So without him here tonight, we're going to see how long the show goes. And if we keep it in the timeline, then it's obvious it's his fault. If we run over, it's still probably his fault because I'm having to fill in for him. So I'm kind of playing Matt as well. So either way, it's going to be his fault, but we're hoping to keep it to a decent time for this show. Now, a few of the articles I'd found, a few of the things that had caught my eye over the week. Let me move this over here so I'm not continuing to look away from everyone. There were several things we've had here in Georgia, the University of Georgia. There was a nursing student that was killed this past week, and there's been some details that have come out about that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the primaries and Trump continuing to absolutely trounce what is left of what the media would call as competition, and the fact that they just do not seem to get the memo. We've got Catherine Herridge, who has been an amazing investigative journalist for years. She's worked everywhere and always done phenomenal work. And here recently, there was a CBS shakeup where they were downsizing, and for whatever reason, she was one of the reporters that was her services were no longer required, and there was an issue with that firing and records and notes and things like that. We're going to talk about. It's a little chilling on the free speech and investigative journalists and their sources and that sort of thing. It's got a lot of people kind of potentially second guessing what they may or may not do if they have the opportunity to be a part of something. We've got a California gun bill that thankfully a judge has seen that it is overreaching and California is playing outside of their lane, and he's blocked it, but not for the reason you might think. It's actually a pretty novel approach the judge took to this, and we'll discuss it and kind of why the route he took applies. It's not the normal Bruin decision justification that a lot of things are being struck down with now. We'll talk about that. And let me see, what was the other? Still some more on the Fani Willis issue. I don't know how many of you guys have been following that. Again, that's here in my lovely state of Georgia, where the DA that brought these charges against Trump is having her own issues with the courts and her ability to remain truthful about the who, what, where, and when of an affair that she has with the attorney that she brought on to prosecute the case against Trump. And she's having some issues there, and we'll talk about that as well. If there's anything you guys have, please drop it up in the live chat. We'll discuss it, talk about it, anything that you might have related to the stories, or maybe another side of it that I haven't seen, or a side of it that I didn't think about. Let us know. Let us see what's going on, and we'll discuss it. I think probably the safest thing to talk about on YouTube will probably be the Catherine Herridge story, because that's pretty tame for YouTube. So maybe we won't get in trouble, and and have YouTube, concerned with everything. Now, like I said, Catherine Herridge is an investigative journalist, and she's done a lot of work everywhere, and has always been, seems to be an honest reporter, and is looking to follow the story through and find out, the actual answers. Oh, looks like I got volume coming through somewhere. There we go. Well, all right, they're gonna let me go now. Okay, they're not gonna keep restarting. The issue is, when she was let go, the normal course of events is that it's understood that a reporter's notes and things of that sort will go with them, because they have sources that they've, given their word, put their integrity on the line to support, to protect, and that way they come forward and share what they know. Now, what CBS has done, and they've decided that whenever she left, they were going to hold on to all of her files and their notes, and they would later on decide what would be turned over to her. Now, in order for them to go through and decide what would be turned over to her, that means somebody's going to be rifling through them. They're going to be going through all of her notes, all of her information with her sources, that sort of thing. And then they're going to decide what gets returned to her and what does not. That means there would be no real safety, or, no ability to ensure that those identities were protected. And if you see here, one of the things that's very suspect is the timing of Herridge's termination raised suspicions in Washington. She was pursuing stories unwelcomed by the Biden White House and many Democratic powerhouses, including the report on Joe Biden's diminished capacity, the Biden corruption scandal, and the Hunter Biden laptop. She continued to pursue these stories despite reports of pushback from CBS executives. So it's no real wonder that they kind of used these layoffs to push her out, as she was working on stories that kind of they didn't fit the CBS narrative as to what they wanted to cover, and the direction they wanted to go as far as the administration's concerned. So it's no real surprise that was the route that they took. They could get her out. They could basically kibosh these stories for a while, and the election coming up, get them out of the circulation, and then she's got to work now to try and recreate these notes and everything else, because they've confiscated them basically, and going to give her back what they deem necessary. And right here, they're talking about the big thing about the reporters, protecting their sources. And that was one of the main concerns that we have here is, reporters, most sources understand that their identity and information will be protected by the reporter and only disclosed to a select group of editors or colleagues. Well, the problem with that is who's going to go through all of her notes, all of her laptops, all of everything else, and safeguard this stuff? And who's going to come forward and share what they know with the reporter if they transfer to another company and everything they have left now goes to someone who may not have the integrity that someone like Catherine Herridge does, and would do whatever they need to do for the for the side that they're wanting to support. And they go on to say here that Herridge has long served as one of the primary defenders of privileged sources, and she's actually still in court defending confidentiality over a series of stories that she did at Fox News in 2017. So she's been fighting this for 7 years now. She's been fighting even at the risk of being held in contempt. And this is a person they're going to pull this information, and it's who knows what's going to happen with it. And unfortunately, that could lead to, as I said, other sources that have, whistleblowers or people that have information that is, a big deal to the public. They may resist coming forward if they can't trust that the information that they're bringing forward to share would not lead back to them and cause them issues. And that's a scary thing. It really puts a chill on the free speech and the press, what little bit we still have, working to uncover stuff, do some of this investigative journalism. Everything's turned into clickbait titles and just gotcha snapshots with no real investigative reporting going on anymore. And they're taking one of the few that is still doing a lot of this great reporting and this in-depth stuff that the powers that be don't want, looked into. They don't want brought to light. She gets fired during a round of layoffs, and then they're going to keep her material and just, disperse it as they will. It's a bad thing. It's very scary. It's a process that could have, ramifications for a while. We had Time Force 80 on YouTube post up a chat asking about Texas wanting to separate as Florida should too. And there has been a lot of talk about, Texas being, a republic. And I believe, those of you from Texas, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's even in the Texas Constitution that they have the right to secede from the Union. I believe, if I'm correct, that was one of the caveats put in there in order to entice Texas to join the states at the time to begin with. And I've seen a lot of stuff. People they frame it as the phrase, I believe, is a peaceful divorce of, just let us go our way and do our thing. You go your way and do your thing. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that being a success with the way things are, and those that want to do things their way. Or you take gun control, for example. They don't like guns. They don't trust themselves with guns. They don't believe they have a sense of self-control, so therefore nobody should. They continue to punish the law-abiding citizen because, a criminal, surprise, surprise, is going to break the law, and the current laws that are in place, they don't care about. So why would more laws, prevent the criminal or deter the criminal from, doing criminal stuff? There's so much going on, guys, and we've talked about it before. We really try to go through and curate a few stories that we really want to talk about, but there's just so much that it's so hard to really stay on top of everything, much less really even be able to have a conversation about everything that's going on. We've talked about it before, and we've I think we've come to the determination. We probably would have started trying to do it this week, until Matt had to go in for his procedure and everything for his gallbladder. We were talking about trying to do kind of an intermittent show, maybe a little one on Friday, a little one on Monday, just to talk about one or two small stories that we find during the week, because every week there are things that we bring up, and Matt and I talk before the show, and we have to cut a few things, or we put them on the bottom of the list, as to something we'll talk about if we're able to, if we get there. But a lot of times we go along trying to talk about the 4 or 5 stories that we have, and like I said, we try and keep it to an hour, and we have 5 stories or so, and it winds up going 2 hours because there's just so much to them. You can do the quick 3-minute overview, but that's not really giving you information. That's reading the headlines, and there's so much more to a lot of these stories and things. And there's some of them that we've been following. The Fannie Willis thing, we've been following that for it seems like a month or so now, because every week there's more that comes up and more things that happen. I think we're going to move over to Rumble. I think Odysee may be, I don't know if Odyssee's streaming or not. All I can see is it's still confirming. It's saying live stream in process. I don't know if it's going to bring it up or not. Odysee was acting a little squirrely earlier today when I was setting the streams up. But we're going to move over to Rumble, and we're going to hop off of YouTube here so that we can discuss things a bit more freely. Invite any of you guys at YouTube to come over to Rumble. The description, or the link, should be in the description below. Please check it out. Come over to Rumble, and we'll see you over there, and we'll start getting into a couple of the other topics that we just don't want to run the risk with YouTube. They've hit the channel before over nonsense. We just try and use YouTube as our introductory, talk about a small story or two that isn't too spicy for YouTube, and then we move over to Rumble, where we can have the actual in-depth conversations and stuff like that, and go from there. So we'll see you guys over there. Gonna come off of YouTube right now and be over on Rumble.